Okay, so let's get into it. When you think about Nigeria's cultural influence, a couple of big things probably come to mind. But what if I told you the country's actually home to two massive, parallel creative universes? Yeah. One is this hyper-local film industry that just churns out thousands of movies. And the other? A global music juggernaut that's topping charts all over the world. Today we're going to break them both down.
You've almost definitely heard of Nollywood, right? Nigeria's English-language film industry? It's a global phenomenon. I mean, it's second only to India's Bollywood in the sheer number of movies it produces. To most of the world, Nollywood is Nigerian cinema.
And there's the twist, the other Hollywood. This, right here, is where our story really gets interesting. In a totally different part of Nigeria, with its own language, its own A-list stars, and a completely unique set of rules.
So what exactly is this other Hollywood? Let's get right into it.
Kannywood is the Hausa language film industry. It's based way up in the northern city of Kano, and it's an absolute creative powerhouse that's built for a very specific audience. See, unlike Nollywood, which is often aiming for an international, English-speaking crowd, Kannywood is just deeply, deeply rooted in the culture and language of northern Nigeria.
And what's so fascinating is how it all came together. This industry didn't just pop up overnight. It actually started with literature, way back in the 70s. Then in the 80s, filmmakers got inspired by video films from another part of the country. And then, boom, 1990, the first commercial film drops, and things really kick off. The name itself, Kannywood, didn't even exist until a magazine came up with it in 1999, basically giving a label to a movement that was already huge.
But that kind of explosive growth, well, it's never smooth. A huge tension started to build between the old guard, the classically trained veterans, and this new wave of younger producers who had cash and just jumped in looking for a business opportunity. This quote from the veteran Baba Ali just says it all. The old guard saw these newcomers as completely untrained, disrespectful of the craft, and it created this massive rift right down the middle of the industry.
All right, let's hit pause on Kannywood for a second and switch gears. Because while all this was happening, another Nigerian cultural force was getting ready to pretty much take over the entire planet.
Okay, this is so important. That little S at the end, it changes everything. On one side, you've got Afrobeats, singular. That's the legendary Fela Kuti from the 70s. It was political, it was complex, a wild fusion of jazz and funk with these huge bands. But then, on the other side, you have Afrobeats, plural. This is the sound of today. It's a huge umbrella term for modern African pop music, from Wizkid to Davido to Burna Boy, and it's all about digital production and this incredibly infectious beat.
So what is that beat? Well, a lot of the time it comes down to this, the clave rhythm. It's that unmistakable 3-2 or 2-3 pattern that just propels the music forward. It's the musical DNA that makes you want to move. Really, it's the engine of the entire genre.
And the success? I mean, it's been absolutely staggering. To put it into perspective, in the year just before the UK launched its own official Afrobeats chart, Nigerian artists spent a combined 86 weeks in the top 40. 86! This wasn't some niche genre anymore. This was a commercial tidal wave. So we have these two really different worlds, right? One is hyper-local, the other's hyper-global. But they share one incredibly powerful driving force, and that is the audience. At the end of the day, what the people want, the people get. In Kannywood, this is just crystal clear. Despite all the criticism from the old-timers about shallow stories, the data shows what the audience actually wants to see. Romantic dramas completely dominate, with comedies right behind. So the producers aren't just making these films in a vacuum. They are responding directly to what sells.
And get this, it gets even more interesting when you dig into why people watch. It's often not even about the plot. The number one reason someone will see a movie is because of the film's songs, which are usually released months ahead of time just to build hype. And right behind that, the popularity of the actors. So it's music and celebrity, those are the currencies that really, really matter.
And all this brings us to the core conflict. In both of these worlds, in Kannywood and in Afrobeats, there's a serious battle going on over identity, authenticity, and, of course, control.
So, in the music world, the family of the genre's creator, Fela Kuti, has been really vocal. His son Soon argues that calling today's pop music Afrobeats waters down his father's powerful legacy. For them, it's not just about a name, it's about preserving an entire political and artistic movement.
And you see this exact same kind of fight in Kannywood. But here, the battle isn't over an artistic legacy, it's over cold, hard cash. This quote, it's from a marketer who was furious with producers for trying to raise their prices.
It's a full-on war between the money people and the creatives for control of the industry.
And that conflict goes even deeper. This marketer, Ibrahim Hassan Adamu, is basically accusing the older, more established producers of rigging the market to keep the younger generation down. It just reveals this industry that's full of infighting, generational divides, and these really intense financial rivalries.
So here we are. We have a local film scene that is obsessed with music and a global music scene with deep local roots. You have to wonder, right? What happens when these two powerful forces finally collide?
Well, the answer is already here, and it sounds something like this: Afro piano. It's born from this blend of Nigerian Afrobeats and the really distinct piano sounds of Amapiano from South Africa. This is more than just a fusion. It's a Pan-African sound, it's incredibly popular, and it's a huge sign of what's coming next.
And here's the proof. You can see it happening in real time. On platforms like TikTok, hashtags like Hausa Piano are popping up. This is where it all comes together. The sounds, the fashion, the whole aesthetic of Kannywood's Hausa culture is merging with this global Afro piano trend, and it's happening totally organically, driven by creators and their audiences.
So, what this really shows us is that Nigeria's two big cultural worlds, the one that's fiercely local and the one that's globally dominant, they're not running on parallel tracks anymore. They are crashing into each other, creating these incredible new fusions on platforms where, once again, the audience is king. Which leaves us with one final big question to chew on. In a world of global trends, as local traditions blend with global sounds and market demands shape what gets created, what does it even mean for art to be authentic anymore? Is it about preserving the past, or is it about reflecting the vibrant, chaotic, and always changing world we're all living in right now? Definitely something to think about.